Over a year ago, I started a Fivers high stake challenge and I documented every trade for 12 months with the goal of passing the challenge. And I didn't, at least not within the 12 months that I intended to. Towards the 9 to 10 month mark, I started receiving comments from people calling me unprofitable, which hasn't happened before. And I thought that was really interesting. So today I want to address that and educate those people. I want to talk about what happened in 2025. Did I do anything wrong in my trading? And am I an unprofitable trader? By the end of this video, I hope to give you guys a more realistic overview of what real trading looks like and kind of defeat the dream that many traders have been sold. I've been funded for years now. I've reached the top of prop firm leaderboards. I've averaged 40% return per year since 2021, and that's including 2025. I got inspired to make this video after receiving those comments because it made me realize how many traders may struggle with recency bias and, failing to see the larger sample size. In 2025, we saw quite different market conditions to the usual. Fairly similar conditions inspired me to move from a mechanical trade plan to a discretionary trade plan the year prior in 2024. I realized that my mechanical trade plan was restricting me from being flexible when it was needed most. And Mark Douglas, the author of Trading in the Zone, agrees that discretionary trading is kind of the ultimate development of a trader's life cycle, and he describes it as an advanced stage of development in the trader life cycle where the focus shifts to using market intuition and flexible thinking, but you can only do this after you've mastered mechanical, rigid trading. So if I'm trading in this discretionary way and I'm able to be flexible in various market conditions now, why am I still in the first phase of my Fivers challenge after 12, 16 months? Well, there are two reasons. Firstly, everything the market does is out of my control. And this applies to everyone, not just me. In 2025, the market didn't give me any high probability setups that I deemed worth taking. And the few high probability setups that I did take ended up resulting in a loss or a small win. Now, there were elements within my control, and this is the second reason now. My strategy is heavily dependent on very few large winning trades because I run a high risk reward, low win rate trading strategy. Now, this does mean that in 2025, there were 2 or 3 10% winners that I missed. And if I were to have traded the year absolutely perfectly, without missing a single trade, I would have ended up around 20, 30% profit. Now, I do have good reasons for missing these trades. I had the birth of my first child. I moved house. I was renovating this house, and I also had some big changes at work all at the same time. So unfortunately, with all this going on in my life, I missed a few big winning trades, and some of them occurred in the middle of the night, so I can't blame myself too much. Let me ask you, why are you trading? Pretty much all of us are here trading right now because we want to make money. But then ask yourself, why do you want to make lots of money? For most people, it's about freedom. The freedom to do what you want, where you want, whenever you want. That's time freedom. Well, in 2025, I made the executive decision to focus on my personal life rather than my business and my trading. I focused on my family and building our dream home, which are reasons I started trading in the first place. And I think this is an important reminder not to let trading skew your priorities. You're trading to be free. So when you have the opportunity to be free, you should do so. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Another important mindset shift for most traders is to look at the larger sample size. This is because short-term results can be extremely misleading. Taking a look at, a 6-month trading period and making a judgment on that account is not how an investor looks at a trading account whatsoever. Investors that I've worked with in the past want to see at least 3 to 5 years of trading activity, track record, before making an investment decision. And now this is really important now. If you're going to learn anything from this video, let this be it. Investors are more focused on minimizing drawdown than they are on making profit. This is because they have a large amount of capital to invest. And this should be your perspective on trading accounts, whether you've got a large amount of capital or a small amount of capital. A trading account making 10% a year on 1% max drawdown is infinitely better than a trading account making 50% per year on 12% max drawdown. And that's because the profit to drawdown ratio is significantly better. It's like twice as good. If you looked at my trading accounts since 2021, I've made 200% profit with 15% max drawdown. And in 2025, it was a break-even year for me. But it could have been a lot worse. In fact, my challenge account has remained in profit for the last 13, 14 months. People are so focused on making money as quickly as possible that they lose sight of what actually makes a trader successful in the first place. Your focus, your number one focus, should always be on preserving capital and maintaining a good profit to drawdown ratio, especially in weird market conditions like 2025. That's exactly why I was taking so few trades. In my previous years, I think I would take 50, maybe 100 trades. In 2025, I think I took like 20, maybe 30 trades, and they were really high probability setups, but many of them just didn't play out. If I would have traded 2025 the same way that I traded 2024, I would have probably been down 20%. Instead, because of my discretionary flexible trade plan, I was able to end the year at break even, and my Fivers account is up 2% or something. Always focus on the larger sample size and long-term results. So if you have a break-even year, or maybe a slight losing year, how do you determine whether you've underperformed? How do you know if you've done anything wrong? How do you know if it was you or the market? Well, it's simpler than you think. You just need to measure your performance in process over outcome. And what I mean by that is, did I follow my plan? Did I manage my risk correctly? Did I avoid acting emotionally? Did I take any bad trades that don't fit my plan? Things like this. As I mentioned before, the market and everything to do with your trading results is completely outside of your control. So the only thing that you should be focusing on is the one thing you can control, which is yourself. In my case, the only improvement I could have made to my trading performance in 2025, according to my trading strategy, is just not missing any trades. And the only way I could have not missed any trades is if I opted to focus on making money as opposed to spending time with my first newborn daughter and building our dream home. And I'm glad that I prioritized those things. When I look back on my life, I'm going to remember those. I'm not going to remember those 10% trades that I missed. So I'm happy with my decision. This mindset of focusing over process over outcome is what has and what is going to allow me to trade for years without suffering emotionally from FOMO or losses. I just followed my plan. I have no reason to feel bad about my trading decisions as long as I followed my plan. By the way, this video is sponsored by the Fivers, one of the best prop firms in the industry. If you're interested in starting a Fivers challenge like I did, I'll leave a link to them down below. So what does realistic trading actually look like? Well, for me, 20% per year, just cruising along with maybe 10% max drawdown. I think that's very, very reasonable results to go for. But like I said, you got to be process driven, not outcome driven. There will be years where you make a small loss. There'll be years where you make a big gain. For me, I like to benchmark myself at around 40% per year because that's what I've averaged over the last 5 years. Averaging 40% per year with a break-even year in the middle is completely different to averaging 40% per year where you've got these big peaks and troughs, where you make 100% one year and you lose 30% another year. One's a lot more sustainable than the other if you're looking at the larger sample size. And averaging 40% per year without exception just doesn't exist, does it? There's going to be highs and lows. There's going to be good years and bad years. It's unavoidable. If your benchmark for success is to never have a losing year, you're setting yourself up to fail. You're setting yourself up to quit the first time that reality doesn't align with your delusion. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. I've got a link to my Discord down below in the description. Have a great day.